Saints, this will be a meaningful and at some level quite serious lecture. La Jimmy writes, what's the best and fastest way to build a new roster after moving to a new city? Peace to the Saints. I would say the number one thing is first, you got to be clear. Is the truth that you want a roster, which are women that you're retaining, or is it you're trying to go ahead and get laid as quickly as possible because you're dry out there? You just got there. You need something to keep the bed warm. If it's a case of keeping the bed warm, the quickest solution is going to be a one night stand, which is most likely to occur in an alcohol fueled environment, which is where harlots frequent, namely nightclubs, bars, fraternity parties, things like this. If you're looking to actually build a solid roster for the long term, that's going to come from meeting women in places that usually have a membership fee or a cost to be there. More likely higher quality women, expensive gyms, yoga classes, salsa classes, college campuses, conferences, things like that. So those are the tools I would use to, make it happen. But remember, and matter of fact, I'll use this to get into the lecture, that you should be spitting game so much that you almost forget about the chicks. And here's a real life example. Recently, a buddy of mine and I were out at a resort and we saw two women initially. They appeared to be separate. One of them had that resting bitch face, and she was turbo thick though, so I was quite interested. Me, I like to observe them. If I see them before they see me and I have a little bit of time to observe, I like to observe, gather some data, and refine my approach. So I'm looking at her. She looks very displeased, as though something bad has happened to her. And I happened to be walking behind her, and there was another young lady who was reasonably attractive, who was yet another 5 steps ahead of the girl I was interested in. As we were walking, we were about to catch up with the girl who had the mad face when the other girl in front turned around and started talking to her. And I realized they were together. I found it really strange that they were walking so far apart. Maybe they weren't getting along, but I could tell that they had a French accent. And so I made it a point to introduce myself and say, hey, I'm the mayor of Las Vegas, and you seem to be from out of town. I bet you're probably looking for something fun to do tonight. And they're like, yeah, we are. I say, okay, well, why don't you take down my information and I'll connect with you some activities you might like. Now, mind you, the conversation was a little longer than that. That's the short version. During the whole conversation, the physiognomy of both of them seemed rather disinterested. I didn't perceive any significant interest, which is why I kept it fairly brief. And I just gave them my business card and I said, holla at your boy. Long story short, 3 weeks later, I was looking for a message from one of my suppliers on WhatsApp, one of my factory suppliers. And while looking for that message, I noticed a message from a French name. And I clicked it, and it was the girl that I had met at that resort messaging me just hours after we had met saying, hey, Marquette, nice to meet you. What are you guys doing tonight? I never actually saw it when it came in because my ringer and notifications are off for all applications. I say that to say this. The moral of the story is when you're spitting such a high volume of game, you're going to forget about a couple of chicks here and there. And no one female or one set of females that you talk to really matters that much because you have volume. You see, you don't have to overvalue the girl. Further, as I've told you before, never tell yourself no and never doubt yourself because, in fact, those women looked disinterested when, in actual fact, they were quite interested. So much so that a mere 2, 3 hours after we met, they sent a note saying, what it do? Could we have smashed it that night? Absolutely. Why? Because they're from out of the country. And women, when they're on girls' trips, oh, it's no holds bars. Everything goes. Girls gone wild. You dig? So I actually missed that opportunity because I wasn't even thinking about her. I forgot about her. And it gets like that. That's the position that you want to be in. So what I'm saying to you is that you should be doing your 3-a-days and you should be spitting such a high volume of game that you have those situations where, chicks are just falling out your pocket. Forget about them. The first thing, to the point I mentioned about the gentleman asking how to set up a stable, is that you shouldn't have any missed opportunities. Sadly, human beings, we tend to doubt ourselves, and humankind, we're very fearful. It is a pity to be a fearful man, as I often remind you to go forward like a fearless lunatic. When you leave an opportunity as a missed opportunity, that usually comes because you looked at the woman, you didn't think she was interesting. You looked at her, you didn't think she thought you were good looking, or maybe you just didn't feel good looking. You didn't feel like you were dressed up and she was dressed up. Whatever the case was, it was a lack of confidence that caused you not to convert that opportunity. And let me let you in on a joke. It turns out that the woman is the one who decides if she's attracted or not. So when you tell yourself that she's not attracted, or you tell yourself that you're not going to be successful with her, you screwed yourself over. In my book, The Black Box, I say never tell yourself no. That's what my mother taught me. It was very wise. It's really a sales technique, but all of life is sales. So don't tell yourself no, make her tell you no. And here's the funny thing, a lot of the things you think are important, height, hair, clothing, money, nah, not the case. Your boy has no hair. Your boy been getting since he was broke. You dig? Your boy got one female, lovely young lady, who swears up and down I can't dress. She swears I'm the tackiest man on earth, but she still loved the big homie. You dig? It get like that. So I say that to say this to you. You got to go forward no matter what the circumstance is. You got to go forward. Huh? I'll be out here to win, my boy. Another thing I want to remind you guys of, when you're constantly doing your 3-a-days, bringing new women into your sphere of influence and spreading your name in the world, which is very wise, you then are empowered to be able to clean out the stable periodically, because as you add more women on a regular basis, now you can be selective and take the cream of the crop of your stable and not have to retain the other ones. You get to only deal with the best of them. And I can assure you, you'd be a goddamn fool to put up with a woman who's disrespectful, disobedient, and disagreeable. You might retain them for a moment, but eventually you should move them out. And let me let you know this. And this is something that my partner's uncle told us, super player. He said, never get rid of a woman until you've replaced her. You don't want to leave an empty slot in the stable. So, deal with her until you can get that replacement, but don't push her out and leave it empty. And the reason being, a woman's favorite cologne on a man is another woman's perfume. I'll say that one more time. That's a quotation from Marquett Devon Burton. A woman's favorite cologne on a man is another woman's perfume, which is to say they like to know that you got someone else. You dig? When they show up and start dealing with you, even though they might say they don't like a player, it's not true. They love a player. Ezekiel writes, how do you treat a broad like a side? Hit and dash? Question mark. Well, if you're talking about a side piece, that's not a hit and dash. A side piece is one you retain, but that's one that you never elevate. And it's not because you're a wicked person. You never elevate her because she's a wicked person. It's because she refuses to follow the ism. She is a woman who displays low characteristics, whether it's drug consumption, excessive drinking, horrific behavior, foolish thinking, hard-headedness, disobedience, dishonesty. She's displaying those traits, and that's why you never elevate her. Maybe she's very attractive. Maybe she's very enjoyable, brings a smile to your face, helps you laugh and get over challenging moments. She is like a coolness to you, but she is immoral, and that is why you don't elevate her. A side girl gets no dates, no gifts, no holidays, no trips, but they do get some hard, you know what? You dig? Yeah, man. Don't treat them, just beat them. You dig? Ray writes, thoughts on monogamy versus polygyny. Monogamy is fine for some. Polygyny is for the bosses. I know the latter. Women are shamed. So how can I ever find a healthy one to participate? You see, first, the woman must come to a knowledge of you. Once she has decided, or rather acknowledged, that you are a great man, then she will provide you what a great man is owed because he's earned it. Rob writes, peace to the saints, big homie. Been slowing down and vetting this girl for a main. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear you got some good prospects. She meets a lot of my high standards. I don't feel attached to her. I feel like I can drop her at any time. Is something wrong with me? Maybe not. Maybe not. At the end of the day, you're in a much better position than if you were head over heels over the female, because that will steal your rationality. And what you have to do right now is keep your eyes open and stay alert, because women are very good when they're interested in a man at dissimulating and deceiving. And men, when they're sexually attracted, they're really good at believing the lies. Ezekiel writes, you should never be seen in public with a side piece. Why? Why not? I mean, really, everyone should be minding their own business at the end of the day. Camden writes, how can I influence women without them feeling like I'm trying to change or control them? Well, you might be trying to change and control them. In fact, I have a young lady now whom I don't want to say disappointed in her, but I'm disappointed to find that she's not who I wish she was. You see, and sometimes the best thing you can do is to say, hey, love, I got to let you know, I love you enough to let you be you. So I'm going to let you go. It gets like that. Sometimes they have just the right face and they have the personality. They make you laugh. You enjoy spending time, but the morals aren't there, or the obedience is not there, or there's some trauma that they can't get over that they're inflicting upon you. And you just have, as a man, have to accept it and be rational. That is our challenge as men, to be rational. One major piece of advice I can give you when dealing with females is to never speak negatively about females in front of a female. I said, don't ever speak negatively about females in front of a female. You might say, Marquette, well, why is that? Because the female, being deeply insecure inherently, and also being self absorbed, focused on the self, she makes everything about her. So if you say something about women, somehow in her mind, it has something to do with her because she's insecure and self absorbed. And for that reason, you would be wise to, in general, speak positively because you're a saint and it speaks well of you. But be thoughtful when you're around a woman, for they have good memories and they will take what you said about women and apply that to themselves. And they will take negative things you've said, remember it, and bring it up when it's least appropriate just to win an argument.